Hey everyone, happy Thanksgiving if you are an American viewer. The other day I put up my Christmas tree, as you can see right behind me. Typically I like to do that either on Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving. Obviously I did it early. I thought that I would record that and show you guys me setting up my tree. And I also wanted to make a keepsake ornament for my daughter Penny's first Christmas. So I was going to show you guys how I did that. So let's get started. Hey guys, after Thanksgiving, I like to put our Christmas tree up. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Obviously, since this is going out on Thanksgiving, I'm doing it a little bit early, which is, I was trying not to do, but first I need to make myself a drink. So I'm gonna go do that. Here is my wonderful half-done bar. I spent forever trying to find the perfect cabinet for what I wanted to do, and once I found it, I altered the cabinet, built a bar top, and then I stopped right before finishing the project. All I needed to do was paint it, but I keep putting it off. I've been putting it off for over a year. I'll get to it one day when I finally settle on a color, and then I'll make a video for it. It's probably going to be very confusing because half of the footage I'm going to be quite pregnant in it, but anyway, I'm not pregnant anymore, so I made myself a bourbon apple cider. And then I put the tree up. So I'm putting the tree up early this year. Like I mentioned, typically I do it on Thanksgiving or a couple days after. But this year, man, I just needed some holiday cheer. When my husband and I decided to finally try for a kid, we did so because we felt comfortable in all aspects of our lives. Monetarily, mentally, we have a great support system where we live. Everything was perfect. And then when Penny was about 2 months old, all of the lockdown stuff started happening. We thought that we would be out and about with Penny, hanging out with friends. Oh, hello, Gremlin. We thought we would be out and about with Penny, hanging out with friends, having family over whenever they could make it into town. Sadly, that just was not in the cards this year. And it makes me so sad that so many people are missing out on Penny's first year of her life. Oh, thanks, Grandma. It sucks, man. My mom and younger sister were supposed to come visit for Thanksgiving. They were going to get tested, and if they were negative, they were going to come and stay for a week. But ultimately, we decided to cancel the trip because COVID cases were surging. And we thought, people were going to be traveling like crazy, and it just didn't feel safe. So we canceled the trip. Thankfully, we have video chat, so we can, call each other whenever we want. So there's at least that. Anyway, back to the tree. As you can see, our tree is quite thin. It's called a pencil tree. Our old place was quite a bit smaller and we had no space for a big tree, so we got one of these. We meant to get a bigger tree last year after Christmas when trees would be on sale, but we were a little distracted. Maybe we'll do it this year. Anyway, I decorated the tree with some handmade ornaments, along with a few others that we've been gifted, and then the tree was done. But it was missing something. A Penelope ornament, her first ornament. I thought I would try making one of those handprint ornaments to kind of make it a keepsake for us. Originally, I was going to just use salt dough. I'm sure everybody's done this as a kid. It's like flour and salt and water, and you mix it together. But I ended up finding this recipe that claimed to be better. It said it was less gritty and that it would hold more detail, and it is a nice bright white, so I thought that I would try it out. I'll put a link to the recipe that I used down below, so make sure to go check that out if you're interested in making your own. I didn't have enough baking soda to do the whole recipe, and I just wanted to make one ornament anyway, so I cut the recipe in half for this video. In a small saucepan, I mixed everything together. Half a cup of baking soda, 1/4 cup of cornstarch, and 6 tablespoons of water. And then I set it over medium heat, stirring occasionally until the mixture looks like, as the recipe calls it, smooth mashed potatoes. Keep an eye on the pot because this happens super fast. I almost missed it. Based on the photo in the original recipe, I may have cooked it a little bit too long. Mine definitely looks drier than the one pictured there, but I mean, I didn't have any more baking soda to make more, so I went with it. I put it in a bowl, covered it with plastic wrap, and let it cool. When it was cool, I dumped it out and kneaded it until it was smooth. This was necessary because even though I felt like I had mixed it thoroughly when it was on the stove, it still felt a little lumpy as I kneaded it. It also formed a teeny bit of a crust on the outside, so kneading it helped to incorporate that back in. So I imagine if I set some of this aside for later, I would have to go back and knead it again to kind of reconstitute that outer crusty bit. I split the dough in half. Just in case I messed up, I wanted some extra as backup. I just put it in the bowl that I was using originally to let it cool down, and I covered it with plastic wrap again so that it wouldn't dry out. Also, I dusted my surface with cornstarch to help the dough from sticking to it, but I probably didn't need to do that because my dough already was pretty dry. I rolled it out, and then I squished Penny's hand into it. At first, I didn't push her hand in hard enough, so the imprint was barely there. So I kneaded it again, rolled it out, and tried again. Better, but actually I thought this was a little bit too thick, so I rolled out the other half of the dough a little bit thinner, and I tried again. And third time's the charm. This one was perfect. The dough I rolled out ended up being the perfect size for her hand, so I didn't have to cut any excess off. My original plan was that I was going to cut like a circle around it or whatever, but as you can see, it ended up being just the right amount of dough. Even though I wasn't happy with the one that was too thick, I continued on with it anyway, just in case the thin one broke or something. I used a straw, a metal one, not disposable, to make holes that I'll use to tie ribbon through. And then I stuck those in a 175-degree Fahrenheit oven for an hour, flipping halfway through. And actually, neither of these were totally dried out afterwards. The thicker one, obviously, was way less dried out, but the thinner one was dried out enough for me to move on to the next step. I wrote Penny's name and the year on the bottom, and then I tied a ribbon so that I can loop it onto the tree, and then it was done. I'm pretty happy with this better than salt dough recipe that I used. It's a bright white color, so it looks really nice, and it actually has a little bit of a kind of glitteriness to it because of the baking soda. The only thing I wish I did was that I wish I made sure Penny's hands were totally clean before this, because there was definitely a little bit of baby hand crud that got onto this ornament. I also wish that I saved a little bit more of the dough afterwards, because I got a little bit of a crack on the back, and in the original recipe she mentions that if you have a crack, then you can repair it with more of the dough. You just squish it in and let it dry. Thankfully the crack is on the back, so I'm not too worried about it, but if I ever end up making more of this dough, I'll probably go and repair that. But there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, then leave a like, subscribe, hit that bell. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye! Is that cool?
It's pretty, huh, Candy?
Her eyes are so sparkly.